Look at this mess, guys. So we had a huge winter snowstorm here in Chicago just a couple of days ago, and I'm really happy that the city made sure to plow, shovel, and de-ice the lakefront trail, but they used way too much salt. So clearly a black guy was in charge. Welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we are doing a final update on these Elite Wheels Drive 65D version 2 wheels. And right now, at the time of this video, Elite Wheels is having their annual Black Friday deal. And if you use my code, which will stack on their current sale, you should receive about $200 to maybe $300 off of your purchase from Elite Wheels. And of course, these wheels were sent to me from Elite Wheels. And so I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on these wheels, being that I've been able to use these wheels on a variety of frame sets on this channel. And I'm also going to recommend maybe the particular depth that you should get depending on your particular riding style. So without further ado, let's begin. Let's talk about some of the important specs on these wheels. So we have 65 millimeters, both rear and front. We have an internal width of 23 millimeters. We have an external width of around 31 millimeters, which stretches out these Continental GP5000s in a 30C size to around 31 at the rim, which is a really nice ratio considering the external width on these rims. We have, of course, wide carbon aero bladed spokes. We have ceramic bearings both in the rear and the front. And then one of the interesting details with these wheels is Elite is using this sort of conical free hub star ratchet design, which makes for lightning fast engagement. However, because there is so much engagement on these wheels, not only do you have a super loud free hub, but that does introduce a little bit of extra drag when you are freewheeling on these wheels. However, when you are constantly putting down the power on the pedal, these wheels with these ceramic bearings are incredibly smooth. Now, the price point on these wheels at the time of this video is $1,299 USD. And as I mentioned on these wheels in previous videos, is I have been dealing with Elite wheels for at least 4 years now. And this is the first time in like 3 or 4 years that they have increased the price. In fact, they've only increased the price $100. So the fact that they're able to basically offer new or current technology with these wheels while offering these wheels for only $100 more than the original version 1 of these wheels is a really nice touch from Elite Wheels. Now, the real world weight on these wheels is 1,483 grams, and that does include tubeless rim tape. Now, these aren't the lightest set of 65 millimeter wheels that I have featured on this channel, but I would argue that when you start to get wheels at this depth, you absolutely do not want the lightest set of wheels that you possibly can. Reason being is because once you get up to speed, and especially if you live where I live here on the lakefront, where we have a lot of crosswind, especially in the fall months, having super light wheels that are very aero means that you are introducing a lot of instability when you are up to speed. And what that means is you're losing watts. That means you have to put in a little bit more effort in your steering inputs. And so by having these be just marginally heavier than some of the other wheels I have featured at this depth, that means you have a little bit more inertia, which should offer a more smooth ride and a little bit more stability when you are up to speed. And as you guys can see, I currently have these 65D wheels on my VeloBuild 368 Aero Trace frame set. Now, the reason being is because due to the fact that this design on this frame set is so wide, it's so chunky, and it's intended for all-out aero, this particular frame doesn't really look that good with any set of wheels that are shallower than, say, 60 millimeters in depth. So by having these 65 millimeter deep wheels on here, I think it looks really, really good. And because this particular frame set also is not that great in the crosswinds, I wanted to see whether or not these Elite Wheels Drive 65D version 2 wheels would sort of help balance out not only just the aesthetics, but just how this bike feels overall in the crosswinds. Now, fun fact about my particular set of wheels. So I have a good buddy of mine here locally in Chicago who rides the top spec Trek Madone, and he asked to borrow these wheels for a long holiday trip out in Europe, which included a bunch of sustained climbs, flats out on the beach side, etc. And I was curious why he wanted to take these wheels, considering the depth of these wheels. You figure if you're out in Spain or somewhere like that where you have sustained climbs, you probably want wheels that are a little bit lighter. And so once he returned and he gave me back the wheels, he told me just how really good these wheels held up on the climbs and on the flats, etc. And it didn't seem like he was struggling at all with these wheels. So that really is a testament to probably both his fitness and his bike, but it is a testament to Elite Wheels that they are able to offer a set of wheels at this depth that is technically capable of being out on the countryside in Europe on some of the sustained climbs. So good job, Elite Wheels. My recommendation regarding which depth you should get from Elite Wheels is going to be for sure the 50mm depth, both front and rear. This is assuming if this is going to be your everyday set of wheels. To me, I think 65mm for this rim depth is a little bit too deep for most riders, even if you are a super sprinter or if you are on the heavier side. Basically, if you notice in the professional peloton and even in crit racing, most people seem to land between that 50 to 60mm depth, just because it makes for a good balance between lightweight, crosswind stability, and just the ability to accelerate quickly. If you are somewhere where it's flat and it's low winds, then sure, maybe pick up the 65mm depth wheels as your second or third set of wheels. But for an everyday set of wheels, these are going to be a little bit too much to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so go ahead and go with the 50. And then worst case, maybe just purchase just a rear wheel in a 65mm depth so that you can have 50 in the front, 65 in the rear. That way you can sort of get almost a Goldilocks, but truthfully guys, just go with the 50-50. All in all, dynamically, these are probably my favorite set of wheels at this particular 65mm depth set. I've used these wheels now with a variety of different frame sets, everything from my Velo Aero to, of course, my Velo build and a couple of other frame sets as well. And I do find these to be the best. I think due to the way that they are closer to like 1,500 grams versus say 12 or 1,300 grams, they are a lot more stable in the crosswinds and the headwinds than you might expect. And I think part of that is due to the weight. One of the other areas of this wheels that I really appreciate is these particular bearings that Elite Wheels is using. They are exceptionally smooth rolling when you are constantly pedaling, excuse me. Like I said earlier, when you are freewheeling, while I do appreciate that initial and immediate engagement with the hub, you will notice that there is some drag upon freewheeling. But as long as you keep pedaling, you're not gonna notice that. I really like a lot of the modern technology that Elite Wheels is doing, especially at this price point. So good job, Elite Wheels, on that front. Now, of course, these aren't going to be the best when it comes to crosswind stability. You are gonna be fighting a little bit, especially on this frame set with this chunky profile, but they aren't as terrible compared to some of the other wheels that I have used on this channel at this particular depth. So that is going to wrap up today's video, guys. Once again, huge thank you to Elite Wheels for sending me out these wheels, and be sure to visit their website for some of their current sales and promotions during Black Friday. Questions, comments, and concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, all right, anyway, peace.